On today's episode of Anime Afterthought Rezero Season 2 Episode 10, I Know Hell. Well, here we go again. Subaru making another promise to a woman he has just met, swearing an oath to save Satella, the Witch of Envy. Now, last we left off, Subaru's second invitation to the Witch's Tea Party was truly full of surprises, giving us the introduction of, dare I say it, three of the most interesting characters we've seen in the series thus far. Tiafon, the Witch of Pride, Minerva, the Witch of Wrath, and Daphne, the Witch of Gluttony, the one responsible for the three great mob beasts, including the white whale and the great rabbit, the army of Holy Grail fluffy bunnies responsible for Subaru's most gruesome death to date. Not only has Subaru gained so much vital information, but it seems that these witches definitely have left their mark. But not only did Subaru leave with his insanity intact after playing Which Witch is Which, but it seems this soiree comes with a party favor. Yes, in the form of unburdening oneself, Subaru has unleashed his greatest secret upon Echidna: I can return by death. But although it seems he has gained a confidant in the Witch of Greed, it also has a very undesirable consequence as he returns back to reality, whether through his interaction with the witches themselves or the dozen or so times he proclaimed his power of return by death. It seems he has summoned Satella, the Witch of Envy, and this is where we pick up today's episode. Let's be honest, ever since the introduction of Garfield, his relationship with Subaru has been tumultuous at best, but he has been playing a significant role when it comes to season 2. Not only was he Subaru's savior when it comes to his face-to-face meeting with Satella, but unfortunately it seems he's the one that has to break the news. Yes, Subaru, unfortunately everyone you know has been gobbled up by that black miasma. Ram, Otto, Roswell, the villagers, hell, even the old hag Ryuzu. And of course the first thought that comes to Subaru's mind is Amelia. Now at this point there is some conjecture and there's a lot of conversations going on in my comments. What exactly is Satella? We know that Satella, at least her physical form, is sealed. But at the same time, it seems she has the ability to at least manipulate reality, the real world. I mean, she has her ways of doing shit. Not only did she pull Subaru from the real world to Lagunica, but here she is right now in a physical form, or at least we're led to believe. We're led to believe that maybe Amelia is swallowed, or maybe she's possessed. Whatever the case may be, whether this is Amelia's body or not, we're not dealing with Amelia. This is Satella, the Witch of Envy, and it seems she has one thing on her mind: go to where Subaru has people that love him and that he loves, and it just so happens to be the Roswell mansion. Now at this point, Subaru could literally just die and everything would work out okay, or at least be reset to the last checkpoint. But it seems that Garfield doesn't like the idea of using Subaru as bait, even though that Satella quite literally is obsessed with him. No, it seems he has his own plan in store. This is where we get a giant revelation as he summons forth an army of white Ryuzu. His plan is to use them as suicide bombers as he goes in and tries to do an all-out attack to take down this entity. And unfortunately for him and a lot of these cute little elf-hued lollies, it was all for naught, as these cute little girls just fucking run into her and explode, and Garfield is easily caught, skewered, and then ripped asunder. And it was pretty fucking gruesome. There was no fighting this entity. And once again, I have to bring up to the fact that we just talked about this. If this is just her spirit or a portion of her spirit possessing Amelia, or a vessel, or was enough to manifest, whatever the case may be, is the real Witch of Envy, you know, more powerful than this? Because this chick is pretty fucking OP so far. But even with all that being said and knowing how much of a monster this chick is, Subaru still has the balls of steel to go up to her and say, you know what? The number 1 and 2 slots in my heart are already filled. I don't have room for a third. I would rather date one of the other witches. I can never love you. And this sets Satella off, and she basically consumes him, or her love surrounds him and wraps him, and it's like he's been taken to another dimension. He's literally being strangled to death, suffocated by her fucking love with no real out in sight, until he notices a little tomfoolery going on with the handkerchief. Yes, remember Echidna's payment for allowing Subaru to remember her? It seems she's planned ahead and has manipulated the handkerchief to where, well, Subaru can use it as a dagger or a knife and proceeds to off himself. Now this completely shocks and upsets Satella. You know, we actually finally get a good vision of her face, and it's basically a mirror image of Amelia, this one with a dark emblem. She has a dark outfit, but she is visibly upset. She is crying. Now this is another ballsy move. He makes another promise with another person he has just met. Like, gotta give props to this dude. Obviously something is wrong with this individual. So instead of, you know, saying maybe one day he'll love her or he'll allow her to love him, he swears that he'll save her. And with that, we end another loop. That's pretty fucking devastating, but we also see it's devastating for Subaru as he again awakes in the sanctuary right next to Amelia still undergoing her trial, or basically at the tail end of it. And this is where we usually see Subaru console her, confront her, wake her up. You know, he's there to be the shoulder to cry on, but in this time things have changed. He has come face to face with the person responsible for literally putting him through hell, and that being an exact match for Amelia. It seems he has some shell shock. He's actually scared to touch her. Resembling this individual so much, it's like, there's a lot of transference going on when it comes to his emotions. His teeth are literally chattering. He can't fucking, you know, come to it. Finally, he's like, man up, dude. This is not Satella. This is Amelia. Let's get this shit over with. Then in the end, I mean, with Amelia even going through all that shit, Subaru is in way worse of a condition, and we see it when he just completely lets go. And this time, Amelia is his shoulder to cry on. Of course, he doesn't hear the end of it when it comes to fucking Ram. Like, dude, you go in there to help and you end up crying like a little fucking baby. My God, what little puss. She doesn't know. She doesn't fucking know. I mean, that's her main shtick. She loves giving Barasu, you know, the what have it, the what for. I mean, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know. Now, at this point, it seems that this is the best loop he has started out so far. Amelia is no longer conflicted when it comes to the trial. It seems, you know, being needing to be the stronger one in the relationship has reaffirmed her confidence, or at least instilled some more into her. Everything is going to plan, but there is still a lot of things that he needs to suss out, especially when it comes to Garfield and his interaction with the sanctuary. And unfortunately, the plan he's come up with might tick him off, and we do know that we don't want to piss Garfield off because he turns into a giant man tiger and shit and literally rips people in half. So you know what, let's go ahead and call Ram, say, you do me a little favor, go ahead and watch Garfield for now. I got shit to do. Well, it turns out this entire plan that he has cooked up is actually thanks to Satella, that other realm, the miasma he had entered, the suffocating love effect. It wasn't just his or her consciousness in there, but every individual that she had acquired, including Garfield, Ryozu, Amelia, Otto. I mean, you see a lot of flashes in that void, the blackness we saw, and it looks like Subaru has set up a plan to, you know, discover more information. We know for a fact, or at least he knows for a fact, as long as Satella's delusion of love is still there, Return by Death really doesn't have a limit. So you know what? It's up to me to test this shit out. And it all comes back to that first Ryuzu that he ever met. The one that led him to that weird kind of thing that sent him to Echidna's tea party the first time. So he gets back to this tomb, this whatever it's at, having Frederica's, you know, a little original jewel. He puts it in there and opens up this door, and he's shocked to find out another Ryuzu, this one encased in a crystal. Ryuzu Bilma and another white clone show up, thus beginning a conversation where she informs him what's really going on with the sanctuary. Echidna created the sanctuary, this experimental facility, in regards to her overall dream, which turns out to be immortality. Something that Subaru assumes is the reason why she's so nice to him, because with Return by Death, he's basically immortal. Now, in regards to Ryuzu, the one encased in the crystal was the crux of Echidna's original plan, to create a vessel to house the body of her soul. And with ending supply of clones, she was just able to, you know, switch bodies at will. Now, unfortunately, this experiment was unsuccessful. Back then, basically, the body could not encapsulate the Witch of Greed, so it's like, she kind of failed. But it seems for 400 years, the sanctuary has still been popping out these clones. Yeah, I was actually surprised. I mean, we already knew there's an army of fucking clones, but to see that this was Echidna's dream to basically become immortal, and in fact was a failed experiment that's been still going on for 400 years is actually quite surprising. But it does bring up an interesting point. Why is Ryuzu so open with this information with a person she just met? Well, it turns out there's a reason, and she actually called Subaru in the very beginning of their conversation. He is an apostle of greed. What does this mean? Well, in layman's terms, it's simply put, you have the power to control the Ryuzus, command them at will, and the reason you have that is somehow you imbibed the Witch of Envy. Of course, Subaru instantly recognizes what the fuck that means, because remember, not only once, but twice did he imbibe the Echidna tea full of her bodily fluids. But it also brings up another interesting point. At the very beginning of the episode, Garfield is seen commanding this army of Ryozus. So does that also mean that he has imbibed some Echidna tea, or maybe a fingernail or piece of hair? I don't know, but we do know for a fact that he is an apostle of greed, which again adds another layer to the mystery of Garfield. So at this point, Subaru seems it necessary for everyone to keep this hush hush. He proceeds to send Ryuzu White out, which by the way, her holding on to him the entire conversation was very fucking cute, to be his eyes and ears, while Ryuzu Bilma, ending their conversation with what's up with the Bilma, you know, it's just our own personal, like, I mean, Ryozu is basically a title, but Bilma is a name, like I got to choose that, it makes my own, it's my personality that shows us as an individual. It's a very interesting concept there, like at what point did she become, I don't know, sentient or aware or alive, as she put it. This whole cloning experiment thing is very fucking interesting. Also, her hitting on Subaru, you know, saying, if you so commanded, I could even be your body pillow. Jesus. That would piss Garfield off, because aren't they technically lovers, as she put it? Or did I misread that? I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, the conversation is over, and it's time for Subaru to go night-night, because he's got a lot of shit to do tomorrow. But before then, he just happens to run into Amelia. Unable to sleep and missing Puck, it's up to Subaru to once again instill confidence in this woman. You know what? I know you can do it. I got your back. I'll be there for you. I have trust and faith into you. And of course, his one-liner about the fairies seemed to once again fail due to, as he puts it, cultural differences. But yes, once again, it's your typical Subaru Amelia conversation. But like I said, he has a lot of shit to do, so it's time for nighty-night. Before he heads out though, I do like when he goes back to where the villagers are being kept. Otto is there being the protective mother. Hey man, can't I just be the father in that scenario? It's honestly, their dynamic is like best buds. Otto really has become best boy. I mean, the dude got fucking ripped in half to save him. Like, my God. I mean, he doesn't know that, or technically it never happened. But yeah, their relationship is best buds. Now, a relationship between Garfield and Subaru, like I put it, is tumultuous at best. So Subaru has enacted his plan. He decides to head out to the Roswell Manor. He wants to make sure everyone is fucking safe. We have Rem, Petra, and Frederica that we have to, you know, secure. Because remember, Elsa Grandhiert, the fucking Bow Hunter, will eventually kill everyone. If not, let's say Satella gets summoned again, should go straight for them. Like, we got shit to deal with. But there's also one more individual that we need to focus on. And remember, we didn't really leave off in good terms, considering our last conversation really put her in a funk. But now, armed with the knowledge from Roswell, not only do we know the question, but also the answer, it's up to Subaru to secure Betty. But it looks like she's well aware of what's going to happen. Finally bringing an end to her long contract, the end of the end of the end, as she puts it. It's just very ironic that her freedom relies on you, Subaru. My God. Okay, I like today's episode. I liked it a lot because it's adding twists and turns and more mysteries to it. I mean, 8 gave us the most gruesome death we've seen in the series thus far, plus probably the most enchanting and awe-inspiring moment when he'd finally confronted Echidna and, you know, unburdened himself with I Return by Death. Episode 9 gave us 3 of the most interesting characters we've seen thus far. Like, you kind of don't know going into this that even the title says it for self, like a Witch of Sin, you know they're going to be fucking interesting. But actually seeing them in person, or at least their disembodied, physically manifested forms, I don't know how I really pull it. We saw them in person. Each one is unique and has their own personality. Like, yeah, but today though, I mean, we got to saw the oath made to Satella to save her. This woman who has literally put him through hell, and then hell, and then hell, like what, 15 or 16 more times. He's going to save her. The revelation of the army of Ryozu's clones. Garfield's trip to the graveyard and trial, making him an apostle of greed. Like, and then you give us the ending with the drill hell lolly Beatrice seemingly well aware of what's about to transpire. Like, narratively speaking, I love today's episode. You see a lot of shit going on. There's really, I mean, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Like, he knows what he has to do, and just his conversation with Garfield as he confronts him, right? You know, as he's trying to leave for the mansion. Like, you don't know pain and suffering. He's like, motherfucker, I know pain, I know suffering, I know hell. But with this power I have, I'm the only one that has to. You want to know what I'm about? I'm here for Amelia, and I'm here to help the sanctuary. Trust and believe me on that. Anyways, like I said, I love today's episode. I love fucking Rezero. What did you guys think? If you guys made it this far in the video, let me know in the comments below. How have you been liking season 2 so far? Do you think that this is the final loop? Has Subaru finally acquired enough knowledge or been through enough tests to actually make it through unscathed with everyone alive? Do we we still have another death to go. Will it be Amelia or Subaru that passes the sanctuary trials? Will we get a third tea party? I mean, like a kid has said, if you make it back here a third time, even though it'll require a much bigger, let's say, anguish call for me to hear you, I've got something to tell you, by the way. Like, do you think he'll make it back to her? Like, I don't know. Shit's getting good. Like I said, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think so far? So with all that being said and more Rezero next week, I honestly cannot wait for future episodes.